All right, and here's one more video because there's going to be 2 days where I probably don't get around to recording a video. So I just want to put in the reps, right, that I committed to. 7 videos a week. And I actually did more a couple of days ago than one, but I still want to feel like I don't keep just shifting around. One day I do 10 and the next day I do nothing and something like this. Now I want to, next 2 days I don't do anything, so I'm going to do 2 more. I have no idea what to talk about, so I'm actually just gonna do the same thing I did in the last video again, which is like telling the story of losing my glasses in the waterfall, because I'm such a boring storyteller, and I figure, yeah, maybe I just try it again and see what happens if I tell the exact same story a second time. Is the second version going to be slightly better? Am I going to make something different? I don't know. It's an experiment. This is what this whole channel is about here. So this is one of the things that made me fall in love with this country. And that was my experience of, 20, must have been 22 or 23 years ago. I was on this trip with a group of friends, and we were at these cascading waterfalls with like several layers. So like, there's a river and then a little waterfall, and then there's a basin where you can kind of swim, and it leads to another waterfall. And it's a very nice waterfall for a day trip, because every waterfall has a different characteristics. Some you can jump down, and some you kind of, there's a slide where you can slide, and some you just hike down. And so there was this one layer where you could slide down, and me with my glasses, I see very little without my glasses. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to slide down there, and I'm just going to hold on to my glasses, because the slide was it was an easy slide, or it looked like an easy slide. It turned out it wasn't an easy slide, because when I splashed into the water and came out again, my glasses were gone somewhere in the water. And so, I tried finding them again. At first in my head, I'm like, oh shit, right? Because this was kind of remote. I didn't have a spare pair of glasses, and I would be kind of helpless without glasses. And first of all, I didn't want to spend money on buying other glasses, and second of all, even if I wanted to buy new glasses, it wouldn't have been that easy, because it was in the fucking middle of nowhere. So would have been another. First of all, I would have to kind of get out of the group of friends, because we already had booked accommodation elsewhere, and I had to get to the next town to buy glasses there, and it would have been, a day or two lost off my trip. And so, I keep diving for my glasses, trying to find them. My friends, of course, helped me. They were probably much more effective at looking for glasses underwater than the guy who can't see clearly anyway without glasses. And there was this guy sitting on the rocks nearby watching us. And eventually he asked, like, hey, what do you look for? What do you look for? And I just told him, oh, my glasses. And so he jumps in the water. And he kept doing it. 10 minutes, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, probably almost 40 minutes, looking, diving back in, coming back up, diving back in, coming back up. And I was like, holy shit, this is nice. So nice of this guy to be so helpful. And eventually he came up holding the glasses, and we are all shouting, yay, right? And so I was very happy about that, of course. And I wanted to, express my gratitude here. So I thanked him, and I wanted to give him a little bit of money just as a token of appreciation. And I just came from a trip to Egypt. And in Egypt, my experience has been that everybody wanted a tip. Bakshish, bakshish, bakshish. Almost every interaction I have had in Egypt with locals always ended with bakshish. That was my experience in Cairo. Not that it's reflective of the people in Cairo, but the people who I got in contact with who worked with tourists, or who, even some people who, didn't work with tourists. Yeah, it was all about bakshish, right? This is my experience there. And so and oftentimes they would like refuse the first time when I would offer them a tip, but it was a theater refusal, right? And then they take it, and they expect it. They expect that you keep insisting on it. And so I was like, yeah, probably it's another version of that. And I kind of like, insisted, oh, please take it, please take it. And almost pressed the money into his hand, almost, and his hand just slid away. And he's like, no, I don't want it. You happy, I happy. Right? And he's like, and so I was like, okay, well, do you want to grab some food together? Let's eat something together. He's like, no, no worry, you happy, I happy. And he wouldn't accept anything in exchange for those, 30, 40 minutes where that he spent looking for my glasses. And it was something very representative, as I later figured out, of the people in that country, because I've had so many kind of encounters and experiences with the people who were just helpful just because they could and they liked it. And it's something I very, very much appreciate about this culture and the people here. And where I originally come from, that is not a very dominant trait in the culture anymore. And so for me, that was a beautiful thing that I still to this day appreciate. And it's also something where, you can often, there's so many opportunities in the course of a day, oftentimes, where you can do a little thing for someone else, and it changes their day, but brightens up their day. And when it brightens up their day, and you see that, you can't help but also feeling that, oh, there's something coming back, because it will brighten up your day too. If you could brighten up somebody else's day, and a complete stranger, not expecting anything in return. And it's just a beautiful human hardwiring that we seem to all have, where it is nice to do something else that is nice for other people. It's funny. It's almost the same place, like the last video that I did where I told the story. I think it was almost the same place where my inner critic kicked in heavily, and again he's kicking in heavily now. It's like, what the fuck, motherfucker. All right. Yeah, it's that fear of being seen as stupid and talking and not making a point and being kind of like, superficial. Why are you telling this? Yada, yada, yada. Interesting. But fuck it. There is something innately beautiful about helping someone else. And we get an almost immediate payback when you help someone else, that in some way it helps you. Like, you feel better about that. It's like an investment with a good ROI, right? Of course, I don't know if that guy who jumped in and spent 30, 40 minutes to pull out my glasses out of that little basin or little mini lake between those waterfalls still remembers that, but he was a happy guy. I could tell that he was a happy guy. And it's kind of crazy that, I had so little interaction with him, but I still remember him all these years better. It still makes me good feelings, right? And I've told this story to quite a few people, and then they told me about their experiences that they had where someone, complete stranger, helped them in some random way, right? And it is a nice, I'd say, positive echo chamber of nice helpfulness. And again, the inner critic kicking in hard, being like, come on, hit stop and delete this and just shut the fuck up and get to work. And I will soon, but I won't delete. All right. I don't think this kind of second attempt of retelling the story and uploading it was any better. I don't think it was worse also. It was just both kind of like, meh, all right, meh, right? Were two shitty attempts, but were attempts. And this is maybe my favorite part of the last video. It's baby steps, right? And life is a series of baby steps. And sometimes we make a nice leap, and that is amazing. But most of the time, a day is just a series of baby steps. And life is just a series of days full of a series of baby steps. Now, this is actually, I feel like there's something in this idea that I like, that is, that has there's the, some core of an idea here that could be something good. And I just discovered it. I stumbled across it in the prior video. So that framework of looking at it, this practice of putting in my reps, doing my baby steps, and respecting myself and appreciating myself and kind of giving myself a pat on the back for doing the baby steps. That is a good concept. That is a good counterbalance to my hypercritical inner critic, right? Because it is undeniable that I'm making the baby steps, right? Do I look good making these baby steps? No. Is this baby step better than the last baby step? No. It's just as clumsy. But it's another step. Undeniably, it's another step. Even my inner critic is like, yeah, okay, it's a bad baby step, but it is a baby step, right? So I think that's a good mental framework to think about this.